How's it going, everyone? So, in this video, I want to talk about ways to make a difference. Something we hear a lot in the truth community is, well, I know all this stuff is going on, but what can I really do to change things? This is something I've thought a lot about, and although it really comes down to one thing, which I'll go over here shortly, there are many smaller actions we can take to make a difference. Number one, clearly understanding what we're conveying. By this, I mean it's one thing to do things like share memes with profound messages and make general statements that are controversial in the hopes they might provoke someone to look further into things. But what happens when someone starts asking questions or scrutinizing your statements? Can you really back up what you're trying to say with any credible evidence or eloquently lay out these ideas in a concise manner that makes people want to listen? When I was a lot younger, I spent some time working in telemarketing. In sales, you're taught that when a potential customer asks a question, it should be considered a buying question, meaning they're attempting to gather more information about the product because something about your pitch caught their interest. If you can answer the question to their satisfaction, you're one step closer to a sale. Now, I know we aren't out there trying to sell anything so much as to open people's eyes and minds up to the truths we've come to understand, but the rule does still apply, and that's just one example. The bottom line is that if we're to be the conveyors of these truths, we need to be educated and able to perform at a high level. We need to become the scholars of our time, people that others look to for wisdom because we've demonstrated it in other areas. We need to be careful about claims we make, because once we share information that can easily be proven false, we've lost credibility. This by no means is a simple task. It can take many, many years to form a broad understanding of these topics. I've been at it for a good 5 years and still have nowhere near the level of knowledge that serious researchers in the space have, so I continue to dedicate a good portion of my time to these studies. For some, it may help to start by becoming an expert in one particular subject to the point where you can absolutely own a conversation on that subject, and others in the truth community can even come to you for information on the topic. Since we live in a community, since we live in a constantly changing world, not only is it important to understand things that have happened, but also keeping up to date on what is happening. The research is never ending. Number two, voting with our dollars. I'm not talking about the kind of voting you do in an election booth, where you're simply handing over all your power to the whim of the electors to choose another slave master for you. I'm talking about making the most of the resources we have and helping others in the truth community who are already out there trying to make an impact. For instance, creating content in order to reach a large audience requires time and money. The majority of content creators in this community still have to work a full-time job. They aren't out there doing this to make money, as most make no money or barely enough to keep going. They're doing this purely because they know it's the right thing to do, and it can be a largely thankless undertaking. Not having extra money for things like equipment, bandwidth, or the many associated expenses can put a quick halt to your efforts. Since content of this nature tends to not only be demonetized, but in many cases removed from larger platforms like YouTube, content creators rely on donations from people like you and me to support their efforts. There are many ways you can support these creators, whether it be a simple donation or purchasing their merchandise like a t-shirt. Plus, if someone is already out there creating quality content but is limited in how much they can dedicate to it because they have to work a full-time job, think of how much more impact they could make if they were able to do it full-time. Some people have this idea that donations should only be used for expenses directly related to content creation. But I personally have no problem with someone using my donation to help pay their bills if I know they're out there doing the great work. I'd rather it go to them than the forces we're speaking out against. Even if you're flat broke, at least a like, a subscribe, and a share can help them reach out to others who might be in a better position to learn something from their content or help. Now, I want to take this concept one step further. I noticed there are some content creators in this community that are putting out products with everyday uses beyond just t-shirts and other novelty items like soaps, body oils, etc. And this got me thinking, imagine a world where all the products you buy, from your groceries to even your phone service, for example, were purchased from people who were out there spreading a message of truth and alignment with natural law. Think about how much easier it would be for us to reach large audiences. In order to form a new world, we need to have people of all skill sets working together to create it. If all our money is going toward supporting this new world, we're making double impact, as not only are we helping those who will be part of this effort, but we're taking our money away from the multinational corporations who are part of the ongoing efforts to keep us enslaved. If we can become a completely self-sufficient community, completely unreliant on anything they have to offer us, we're one step closer to breaking those chains. Number 3, spreading love. Real love doesn't just mean being nice. Of course, being kind should always be a prerogative, and anytime we can offer help to others, it's a great thing. But being honest with others when they're on the wrong path can sometimes be even more valuable. You don't want to sugarcoat words, but sometimes a little tact can be a valuable tool as well. We have to realize that most people haven't done enough work on themselves to be able to receive a message that comes across in a way that they don't like. If you can have a conversation with a person and open their mind to the possibility that there may be other ways besides their own, yet not be overly aggressive in your delivery, they're much more likely to engage in future conversations with you on the subject. It's called planting seeds. Of course, you also need to know when to stand your ground. You obviously don't want to go along with whatever they say just to avoid a disagreement, going against what you know to be true. It can be a delicate balance. Sometimes it helps to find common ground. For instance, I agree with what you say about blank, but I disagree about blank. The goal is preserving the relationship while achieving small victories over time. With some people, this may not be possible, and knowing when to bow out of an unproductive conversation can be the best option. It really comes down to people skills. Number 4, becoming a productive member of society. The conventional understanding of this just means to go to school, get a job, make money, buy a house, etc. But that's not what I mean here. I mean finding a way to create in order to bring value to the world and hopefully give more than we take. This can include doing things like planting a garden or other self-sustaining food production, forming outreach groups that aren't serving a hidden agenda, starting a YouTube channel to educate people about things we've learned, etc. It can really be an infinite number of things. Be creative. No one's saying you can't make money doing it. After all, we still have to pay bills until we do finally take steps to break away from the system completely. Just don't lose sight of what it's all for. Lastly, and this is perhaps the most important one, and one that kind of ties everything else together, living by example. Learning, teaching, and living by natural law. When you really break it down, it all comes down to a change in consciousness, not just our own, but others as well, really a majority. All the other items I listed are working toward that same end goal. Education should always come first, and that starts with yourself. However, once you've truly educated yourself on how natural law works, you can take it from there and find ways that you can best aid in these efforts. No one said it was going to be easy. Yes, we are outnumbered, and yes, changing the world is a tall order. But wouldn't you rather be part of the solution than part of the problem? Complacence makes you part of the problem. There are far too many people who are simply doing nothing, which is why nothing is changing. One of the most common excuses people give for doing nothing is that they don't know what they can do to make a difference. So, I hope I've given you a few ideas. Now you have no excuses. It's time to get out there and act. We need your help. People who don't even realize it need your help. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and let's get things done.